Are you making a mistake by converting your IRA to a Roth? Hi, I'm Doug Ray. I'm the president and founder of the Wealth Guardians and the Ray Financial Group.
And I'm Brice Payne, and you've entered The Vault, the Wealth Guardians video series on all things pertaining to retirement planning. In this episode, we're going to cover the mistakes that you may be making when converting your IRA to a Roth. We're going to talk about Roth conversion eligibility, conversion limits, inherited IRAs versus traditional IRAs, the 59.5 rule exception, tax implications, conversions and their deadlines, and potential penalties. As always, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below the screen here if you're so inclined to catch future episodes of The Vault with Doug, Garrett, and myself. All right, let's go ahead and get to it, Doug. What is an IRA to Roth conversion?
So it's very simple. You take some of your money out of your IRA and just convert it over to a Roth IRA. It is a taxable event. And in that year that you do the conversion, you'll get a 1099-R. But the benefits are that Roth, that money is now going to grow for you tax-free, and eventually you can take it out tax-free.
Perfect. Nice and succinct. I love it. Then let's talk about our first point, Roth conversion eligibility. There's some confusion on this. Conversions are not contributions.
Big misconception here. You can convert to a Roth as much money as you want to at any time, which the contribution level is income limited to a Roth. So I guess the terms sound a lot alike, and that's why people are confused with it. But again, conversions, unlimited, and contributions are limited by income.
Right. So there's no age limit, there's no income limit to do a conversion. And the deadline for that is?
You have to do the conversion in the calendar year.
Okay. All right.
There's another confusion there. Making a contribution to an IRA, you can make a contribution for the current calendar year up until next year when you file your tax return.
But a conversion has to happen by December 31st. Okay, very good. Let's talk about conversion limits.
Okay. So really no limits to it as far as how much you want to do.
Unlike a contribution, which again does have a limit, yep. 7,000, 7,500.
Now here's what you got to think about in terms of how much you want to convert, because you may self-limit yourself. Because remember, that conversion is a taxable event. And in our practice, what we look at doing is converting up to but not into that client's next tax bracket. And again, you got to figure out the total impact on your tax return of that conversion, because it goes directly to your adjusted gross income, which could play a big impact on your Medicare surcharge tax, yep. Any financial aid you may be getting.
How much your Social Security is taxed?
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, while there's no technically a conversion limit, there are sensible amounts to convert in a year and nonsensical amounts to convert. All right, let's talk about inherited IRAs versus traditional IRAs. Doug, we can obviously convert our traditional IRA to a Roth. Can we convert an inherited IRA to a Roth?
You cannot. A lot of people want to do that, but you absolutely cannot. There are very specific rules to an inherited IRA. Ever since Secure Act 2.0, a non-spousal beneficiary of an IRA has 10 years to take all that money out of the IRA. And if the donor passed away before 2020, then you can still stretch that inherited IRA over your lifetime. But you can't convert any piece of it to a Roth IRA.
Okay, very good. Now, the next bullet point up here, the 95.5-year-old exception.
The 59.5-year-old exception.
The 59.5-year-old exception. See, I knew I was going to make that mistake at some point.
So if you're 59.5 and under, if you take a distribution from your IRA, there is a 10% early distribution penalty applied, and you have to pay tax on that distribution.
Okay.
If you convert it to a Roth, then the 10% early distribution penalty is waived because it's not a distribution, it's a conversion, but it's still a taxable event.
Okay. Now, is there a 95-and-a-half-year-old conversion rule exception?
I hope so.
Okay. But at this point, there isn't. So it is 59.5, not 95.5. All right. Let's talk about tax implications here. I know we touched on it for a second, but let's go back to it. What are the tax implications of doing a IRA to Roth conversion?
Yeah, so obviously, as mentioned before, you want to watch what tax bracket you get into. You know, right now, we've got a beautiful 3-year period where we can do this before our current Trump tax code sunsets back to what it was. There's a possibility that they may extend that for another 6 years. I'm hearing a lot of talk about that. But anyway, going back to it, if you're in the 22% bracket, you might even consider going into the 24% bracket because that gives you another $170,000 that you can convert just for 2% more in taxes. And the thinking here is at some point in time down the road, that 24% bracket may end up being a 32% bracket. In other words, taxes are going to go higher.
Right.
But again, you got to look at everything. You got to look at how much tax you're going to pay in any particular year, how it's going to affect your Medicare surcharges, how it's going to affect your Social Security taxation, any financial aid you may be getting, that kind of thing.
And a good financial planner would be able to give somebody forecasting advice as far as this year, let's not do it. Next year, let's not do it. But after you retire and before you file for Social Security, there's our gap windows where it's really prime for us to do large IRA to Roth conversion windows. If you're just trying to figure it out on your own, you might be struggling to have an understanding of what years are the best years to do it. But a good financial planner will be able to help you figure that out.
Yeah, for example, we have software in our practice where we load up your 1040 return, and then we can play what-if scenarios. How much can I convert before I hit that Medicare IRMA surcharge? Or, how much can I convert before I'm paying 85% tax on my Social Security income? So it's an important thing to look at.
All right. And Doug, we mentioned this earlier, deadlines for conversions, unlike a contribution, which you can contribute to your IRA all the way up until you file your taxes for the previous year. A conversion has to be done by December 31st. So
in that calendar year, that's right.
There's no doing it after we've hit January 1st. Okay. And then what are the potential penalties for doing IRA to Roth conversions?
Well, here's the thing you've got to understand. Once you make a conversion, you have to let that Roth IRA, we call it season, for 5 years before the earnings can come out tax-free. Now, you can always take out your original conversion dollars tax-free at any time. And the IRS lets you do that. You just have to designate, I'm taking out the original conversion money versus the growth on those earnings. But get it seasoned for 5 years, and then all those earnings in that Roth IRA are going to be tax-free to you.
And by the way, we've done a couple of other episodes that center around the tax implications of Roths and conversions versus contributions and the different ways that you can take distributions from your Roths. And those episodes are right up here over my head. If you want to catch more on this topic in general, go ahead and hit up there. I think that's going to cover it for this episode. Doug, did we miss anything?
I think we got it all.
Okay, very good. Don't forget once again, to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below here if you want to catch more episodes of The Vault with Doug, Garrett, and myself. I'm Brice Payne.
And I'm Doug Ray.
And this has been The Vault.